A silence fell over the Montana wilderness on that fateful June day in 2022. Ryker Webb, a 3-year-old boy with a life full of promise, had vanished. This is the story of Ryker Webb, a vibrant 3-year-old boy who one day found himself alone in the vast Montana wilderness. The morning started like any other, a typical summer day filled with the sounds of birds singing and leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. But as the day wore on, the joyful laughter that usually echoed from Ryker's play was noticeably absent. The Webb family quickly realized their youngest member was nowhere to be found. A sense of dread washed over the family as they frantically searched their property, calling out Ryker's name. As hours passed, the family's fear escalated, and they reached out to the local authorities. The news of Ryker's disappearance spread throughout the community like a wildfire, and the tranquility of their small Montana town was shattered. The Montana wilderness, with its majestic mountains and dense forests, is a place of breathtaking beauty. But for a lost child, it can quickly become a frightening maze of towering trees and rugged terrain. The wilderness, so often a playground for Ryker, had now turned into a daunting expanse, hiding him from the desperate eyes of his loved ones. As the day turned into night, the initial shock gave way to a grim resolve. The local community banded together, forming a search party to comb through the wilderness. They utilized every resource at their disposal: ground searchers, ATVs, drones, and dog teams. But despite their best efforts, the first day ended without a trace of Ryker. As the sun set on the first day, hope dwindled. The wilderness swallowed the echoes of Ryker's name, and the search party could only wonder, where was the little boy? Dawn broke, and with it came a renewed determination. The search for Ryker Webb intensified. As the sun cast its first light over the Montana wilderness, a massive search operation was underway. Ground searchers, equipped with the knowledge of the terrain, scoured every inch of the land. All-terrain vehicles, their engines roaring, crisscrossed the wilderness, their riders' eyes scanning for any sign of the young boy. Drones, those silent observers, took to the sky, their cameras capturing expansive aerial views. Dog teams, their senses heightened, traced the paths Ryker might have taken. The community rallied in a collective effort, a unity born out of shared concern and hope. From near and far, people came, lending their time and resources. They were a beacon of humanity illuminating the vast expanse of the wilderness, their determination echoing through the valleys. Every passing minute, every unfolding hour, was a race against time. The Montana wilderness, known for its beauty, now held a different narrative, one of urgency, worry, and the ardent wish for a miracle. As the day progressed, the scale of the search operation expanded. The wilderness, once a place of tranquility, was now a hive of activity, but amidst the noise, the urgency, there was a silence that spoke volumes. It was the silence of Ryker Webb. His absence was a void that could not be filled, a silence that could not be ignored. The day turned into evening, and the evening into night. The second night since Ryker's disappearance. The searchlights pierced the darkness, casting long shadows on the ground. The wilderness, under the cover of night, held its secrets close. The drone of engines, the barking of dogs, the murmur of voices, they all seemed to ask the same question. A question that hung heavy in the air, a question that was whispered by the wind, a question that echoed in the hearts of everyone involved in the search. As the second night fell, the wilderness remained silent. The question echoed in the wind: where was Ryker? Hope springs eternal, and on the third day, it was rewarded. Ryker Webb was found. In the vast expanse of the Montana wilderness, a family was returning to check on their remote cabin. They were not expecting to find a little guest, a 3-year-old boy who had been missing for 2 excruciatingly long days and nights. There he was, Ryker Webb, shaken but alive, his young eyes reflecting the fear and confusion of his ordeal. Ryker had not been idle during his time alone. His survival instincts had kicked in, leading him to seek shelter. There was a shed nearby, a safe haven amidst the wilderness. It became his home for 2 nights, protecting him from the elements and the dangers of the wild. Let's take a moment to appreciate the resilience of this little soul. At an age when most children are tucked safely in their beds under the watchful eyes of their parents, Ryker was navigating the wild, finding shelter, and surviving. His initial reactions were of a child who had been on an unintentional adventure. He shared that he had gone for a long walk by himself. The vast wilderness must have seemed endless to his tiny feet. He got tired, he said, an understatement for the overwhelming ordeal he had been through. After his discovery, Ryker was rushed to a medical center. The doctors must have marveled at his resilience as they evaluated his health. He was discharged soon after, a testament to his strength and survival instinct. But this was not the end of the story. Ryker's disappearance had sparked an investigation, a quest for answers that lingered even after his safe return. Why had he wandered off? Why wasn't he being watched more closely? These questions hung in the air, adding to the mystery of the case. Ryker Webb had been found, but the mystery was far from over. The little boy who returned was not the same. Then there are the more sinister theories. Some suggest that Ryker was taken, a victim of abduction or foul play. This theory raises a host of uncomfortable questions. Who would do such a thing and why? And if this was the case, how did Ryker manage to escape and find his way back? The details are murky and unsettling. Of course, for the conspiracy theorists, the explanations take a turn for the extraordinary. There are whispers of alien abduction, of Ryker being taken by otherworldly beings for purposes unknown. Others suggest a supernatural involvement, perhaps a mischievous forest spirit leading Ryker astray. These ideas, while far-fetched, add an eerie layer to the already perplexing mystery. Each theory has its proponents, its believers. Each one attempts to make sense of an event that defies explanation. And yet none of them fully satisfies the question that lingers in the air, the mystery that remains unsolved. But none of these theories can explain Ryker's change in behavior upon his return. Ryker was not the same boy who had wandered into the wilderness. Something had changed. His once lively spirit seemed to have dimmed. The jovial chatter that once filled the room was replaced with silence, the laughter now a distant echo. He had become more withdrawn, quieter, as if a heavy cloak of maturity had fallen over him. It was as though he carried a burden far beyond his tender 3 years. His parents noticed the change immediately. The sparkle in his eyes, once so vibrant, now seemed muted. The games he once loved held no more charm. It was as if an old soul had taken residence in this young boy's body. One theory suggests that Ryker's behavior could be attributed to trauma, after all. He had spent 2 days and 2 nights alone in the wilderness. The harsh elements, the chilling fear of the unknown, the loneliness. It was enough to change anyone. Psychologists suggest that such a traumatic experience could lead to a child becoming more withdrawn and silent. But then, there were other theories, those that delved into the realm of the extraordinary. Whispers of mind control began to circulate. Was it possible that during his time lost, Ryker had been subjected to some sort of conditioning or programming? The idea seemed far-fetched, but in a world full of unexplained phenomena, it couldn't be completely ruled out. Yet another theory suggested a supernatural influence. Could it be that during his time in the wilderness, Ryker had encountered something otherworldly? Something that had altered him in a way we couldn't understand? Such tales have been told through the ages, of people returning from the wilderness, changed, carrying with them an air of mystery. The truth remains elusive. What happened to Ryker out there in the wilderness? We may never know, but one thing is certain. The little boy who returned from the Montana wilderness was not the same one who had disappeared into it. Ryker's return was a miracle, but it bore a heavy question. What had happened to him in the wilderness? In the aftermath of his remarkable discovery, Ryker was immediately taken to a medical center. The doctors and nurses worked meticulously, examining every inch of the 3-year-old, ensuring he had not sustained any significant injuries during his 2-day ordeal. Hours of evaluation revealed that, remarkably, Ryker had emerged from the wilderness relatively unscathed. He was discharged, his physical health confirmed to be in good shape, but the question of his emotional state remained unanswered. Upon his return home, Ryker's behavior was noticeably different, as if the wilderness had changed something within him. The once lively toddler was now quiet, often lost in his own world. His eyes held a depth that belied his tender age, carrying an unspoken story of survival and resilience. He was visibly shaken, his little heart still trying to make sense of the big, scary world he had faced alone. As the days turned into weeks, Ryker began to share snippets of his adventure. He spoke of his long walk, of the cold nights and the shelter he found. His words painted a picture of a brave little boy who faced the elements with a courage far beyond his years. However, the question of how a 3-year-old ended up alone in the Montana wilderness remained a mystery. The authorities were left grappling with the circumstances surrounding his disappearance. Was it a momentary lapse of supervision that led to Ryker wandering off? Or was there something more sinister at play? The investigation continued, with the hope of shedding light on these unanswered questions. The community rallied around the Webb family, offering support and sharing in their relief. Yet there was an undercurrent of unease. Ryker was home, safe and sound, but the incident had left an indelible mark on the small Montana town. While Ryker Webb was home, the mystery of what happened in the Montana wilderness lingered, casting a long shadow. Ryker's story is a tale of survival, mystery, and change. It left a profound impact on his family and the community. The Webb family, previously just like any other, found themselves grappling with a whirlwind of emotions in the wake of their son's disappearance and miraculous return. This harrowing event, however, did not drive them apart. Instead, it brought them closer, binding them together with a newfound appreciation for each other and the fragile nature of life. The family has since become a symbol of unity and resilience, their ordeal serving as a poignant reminder of the importance of family bonds and the power of hope. Ryker's mother often shares how the incident has taught them to cherish every moment and never take anything for granted. They've learned to weather the storm together, standing firm in the face of adversity and uncertainty. The ripple effects of Ryker's disappearance and return were felt far beyond the confines of his home. The community rallied around the Webb family, their collective relief at Ryker's safe return palpable. But this incident also served as a wake-up call. It sparked a wave of heightened vigilance among parents, a renewed understanding of the importance of keeping a close eye on their children. The story of Ryker Webb became a catalyst for change, encouraging the community to look out for each other, fostering a sense of unity and mutual responsibility. The lessons learned from this incident are many. It has highlighted the indomitable spirit of the young boy who managed to survive 2 nights in the wilderness, and the relentless determination of a community that refused to give up. It has reminded us all of the importance of family, community, and vigilance, and it has underscored the mystery and unpredictability of the great outdoors. Ryker Webb's story is a stark reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring mystery of the wilderness. It's a tale that will echo in the heart of Montana for years to come,